Have you ever prayed but never got an answer, and wondered if God was really there? Did you feel all hope was gone, but in His time He came along and answered the prayer you thought was gone? There is no prayer too small, for God hears them all. The answer may not be just what you want, but He always knows what's right, even when we think it's wrong. Just remember, there is no prayer too small. I have read, if you will ask, you shall receive. No matter what it is, I still believe. There is no prayer too small, and even when we fall, He gives us just exactly what we need. There is no prayer too small, for God hears them all. The answer may not be just what you want, but He always knows what's right, even when we think it's wrong. Just remember, there is no prayer too small. No prayer too small. He always knows what's right. God hears them all. There is no prayer too small. My God hears them all. The answer may not be just what you want, but He always knows what's right, even when we think it's wrong. Just remember, there is no prayer too small. No prayer too small. No prayer too small. God hears them all.
Hello, my name is Ralf Friedrichs. I'm an addiction recovery coach and the host of the Take Your Life Back Today show. As an addiction recovery coach, I want to share something with you, and let me be crystal clear to leave an everlasting impact upon you. Just imagine being buried alive. You're in a coffin, but you know you're not dead. You don't know how to get out of that coffin. You tried lifting the lid, but the enormous weight of the dirt upon the lid prevents you from opening the lid. You just think you're going to die, but then you say, maybe if I bang on the lid, I might unsettle the dirt, and maybe, just maybe, someone might notice and start digging their way down towards me. This is what it's like to find yourself at the lowest point of alcohol and drug addiction. You know you need help, you know you can't do it on your own, but you don't know where to turn. You just think you're going to die. Usually, though, people don't think about death when they're habitually abusing drugs and alcohol. In order to feed an addiction, you have to be great at repressing the fear of death. I often ask you, my audience, did it ever cross your mind that while you're abusing drugs and alcohol, that maybe, just maybe, you might overdose and take something away that God had given you called life? With this, let me leave one last thought. Don't be the person that went to their grave without seeking help. Give me a call, 844-405-HELP, and I promise you, I'll help you take your life back. Holding the phone in my hand because we're having a phone interview with a regular guest, Gloria Jean Roberts. But before I do, Larry Geis from the Geis Academy at 516-458-2741 and www.odysseyconsultant.org. Larry Geis will help you from your addiction to recovery, from low self-esteem to raising your self-esteem, from depression to happier times. Give him a call at 516-458-2741. Larry Geis from the Geis Academy. Folks, take those slippers off at night, and when you do, stick them under your bed. That way, in the morning, when you get up, you'll have to get on your knees to go and retrieve them because they're under your bed. You remember now. While you're on your knees, utilize the thing I called knee mail. That's K-N-E-E mail. Knee mail is your time between you and God each and every morning, where you thank God for a home, food, health, family, where you ask God for guidance and forgiveness, mercy, direction. These are the times where you should be talking to God each and every morning, and there's no better way to remember to do so than by sticking your slippers under the bed at night. Put those slippers under the bed at night. In the morning, wake up, get on your knees, pray to God, and then after that, put those slippers on and walk with God 24/7. In the background, you can see that's a picture of Gloria and myself, and today's topic is going to be helping others and charity. And we're going to give Gloria a call right after this, and let's see what she has to say about charity. Thank you. Okay, we're back here on the Take Your Life Back Today show. I have Gloria Jean Roberts on the phone again, and she is back. Say hello, Gloria.
Hello from New York City.
There you go. We are going to touch a base on you directly because, we always talk about subjects. I think you and I have talked a few times now, and I've gotten a couple emails, actually, and people have said, who is this Gloria Jean Roberts? So I thought, well, what better way than to ask you a couple questions and let you explain to the audience, and that way people get to know you, and you let people know where they can find you. I don't want to just say it because that's really your personal information, but if you want them to know social media-wise where they can find you, if they want to befriend you and stuff, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, they can hit me up on Facebook. That's where I practically live, on Facebook. I get bored, and that's where I go. It's a great outlet for me, social outlet for me, and I get to talk to my friends and everything like that, and it's great for me. I'm from Brooklyn. I was born in Brooklyn, Coney Island, and my mom and dad are from two different backgrounds. My mom is Native American, but she was born in North Carolina, and my father was born in Sicily. They met in the 1950s, and they got married. They're an interracial couple. And, of course, back in those days, that was like, food. So my dad certainly made a lot of enemies. But that's okay. He loved my mom, and she loved him. And he helped raise my brother. My brother was, his father came from Cuba, but they weren't together anymore. And so my father kind of like raised my brother like he was his own. And we lived in Brooklyn until the 70s, and then moved to Florida. And I lived in Gainesville for 10 years, and I worked there. And when I came back to New York, I got married, and I left my husband. I came back to New York. Once a New Yorker, always a New Yorker. I don't care how many times we leave. We always come back to our stomping grounds. But this time I wanted to change the pace. I didn't go back to Brooklyn. I still love Brooklyn. Brooklyn will always be in my heart. But I moved to Manhattan because at that time I wanted to pursue a career. So I went to Tyson School. I went and took data entry. My first job was at Con Edison. I was working the key punch machine. I used to send out the bills. Great fun,
Yeah, sure.
So, I went to Tyson School. I went to art school in the 70s. I went to hair school. I took a lot of different courses along the way since the 80s, you know, and I pursued my acting career, which I wanted to always act. I used to go for auditions. I was a hand model for a little while, and,
Wow.
you know, and a shoe model.
Wow.
Catalogs, you know, at the time we had catalogs. So,
Right.
and so I used to do a lot of catalogs for shoes. And I got some money. It was a lot, but I got money. My mom and I, we lived in a studio on Riverside Drive at the time, and, you know, we wanted a little bit more for ourselves, so we started looking at Long Island. I've lived in Manhattan for like 10 years now. Like, kind of like tired of it, and I wasn't getting very far in my acting. I was just getting off Broadway stuff. And came out to Long Island, and I, you know, for a long while, my mom and I lived in Greenlawn. And then, you know, I got sick, and then, you know, I wasn't able to take care of her and work too. So she went into a nursing facility, which she loved. She's there now. She's been there like 10 years. She loves it. You know, she calls it the hotel, which is, I think, it's cute. My mom will be 90 next year. God bless
Wow.
her.
God bless her.
Yeah, God bless. She'll be 90. Got all the faculties. You know, sharp as a tool. You know, she's great. I love my mom. My brother, he lives here in New York City. He's been in Chinatown for like over 30 years. I raised his kids in Chinatown. They went to all Chinese school. You know, the only American kids in the whole school.
Yeah.
My sister-in-law taught school in Chinatown. Taught English to the kids. And now they're all grown up, and they're all, my three nephews, my niece, they're all grown up. They got their own lives, living here and there, you know. But I hardly ever see my family, so my friends are basically my family. And, you know, I said, you know, you can't choose your family, you choose your friends.
Right.
So my friends seem like my closest family, and I love them, and I adore them.
And it shows on Facebook. I mean, I can tell that. Just an FYI, I received an email after our last talking, and, you know, of course, I make the covers for our videos, and I received an email from somebody that works for, I think it was Clinique, which is like a makeup company or something to that effect. And she goes, that lady, Gloria, that was on your show, I saw the picture. She's got the most beautiful skin I've ever seen.
Well, it takes that after my mom and my dad. My dad was older than my mother.
Right.
My dad came from Sicily and had great skin. And my mom, she always had great skin, you know, Native American, you know, and descent. And her skin was always flawless. She was almost 90. She doesn't have one wrinkle. My dad didn't have a wrinkle, and he was pushing 100 when he died.
Right.
Okay, so, you know, and my grandmother, my mom's mother, you know, my grandmother died at 84. My grandmother had no wrinkles. She looked like a woman 50. So it runs in my family. My brother is 70. He looks like a guy 40. So,
well, yeah, you do have beautiful skin. But, you know, thank you for, you know, explaining who you really are and what you're about somewhat. And but I do know that you hold charities very dear to your heart. And just tell us which charities that you, and you don't have to give us all of them, just a couple of most important charities that you hold dear to your heart.
Well, the one that I hold dearest to my heart is the AIDS walk. Yes, I like to do the ALS walk, and I like to do, I haven't done the cancer walk, but every time I attempt to do it, something happens and I can't go and do it. But, yeah, I hold a lot of charities close to my heart, but the AIDS walk is the one that I hold dearly. And, of course, I donate to the veterans because, you know, they fought for this country, and I've talked to so many throughout the past 4 decades that came back to nothing. So one of the charities I like to donate to is the VA. You know, I like to give to them whatever I can and whenever I can, and mostly it's clothes. I like to donate clothes to a thrift store. People go in and buy, so that money goes toward whatever they need, you know, for their expenses.
Right.
The AIDS walk over 9 years, I guess 6 or 9. I've been doing it for so long, I've forgotten. But every year I'm out there. I'm out there walking. The only year I wasn't out there was when I went to Arizona in 2011.
Right, and you know, yeah, not to dig into a personal reason, but usually people hold charities to their heart for a reason. I understand the VA hospital one. You're talking to a veteran, matter of fact, right now again. But why is it that you hold the AIDS? Like I have friends, 2 friends that were found positive at one point in their life enough. So usually people like charities because they've experienced something personal in their life or a friend of theirs. Is that the case in your case?
Yeah, I did. I lost a good friend when I was going to beauty school. His name was JC. He was a great guy. And I know he had gotten it through blood transfusion, and, you know, it was like kind of sad.
Right.
Because he was so young. He was like younger than I was. I was like 26. He was like 23. And you know, I loved him. He was funny. He was funny. He used to make me laugh. And I could not believe this for somebody that was that close to me. Was, you know, at that time they didn't have the medicines they have today. So that's what made me get out there and want to do
Sure.
good. And then, you know, my uncle also, he's also HIV positive, and I got some other good friends that are too, you know. So,
sure. And you know what, people have to understand that when you have AIDS or HIV positive, it's for a lot of different reasons. People seem to always label for one particular reason. It's not the case. It could be from sharing drug needles. It could be the blood transfusion, and it could be like a very good friend of mine just preferring their own sexual things in life, or their whatever. It doesn't matter. You can get AIDS with anything that has to do with transferring blood and any sort or fluids. And so people need to, in this life, in this world, need to stop labeling each other, you know, and that's my personal belief in it.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right, because, you know, it got me inspired. I mean, you know, like Liz Taylor was out there doing everything she could for her best friend, Rock Hudson, and, you know, when seeing her do that, it got me inspired. It got me inspired to get out there and the kid, I forget his first name. The kid, his last name was White, and he went to school because he was HIV positive. He got harassed. I mean, he was like a 9 or 10-year-old kid, and he was getting harassed by these other bullies in school. And you know, Ryan White, I think his name was, and you know, seeing all of that, and you know, all the years that you know given. I think people, their ignorance is what holds them back in life, because they refuse to get educated.
Yeah.
It's education.
Absolutely. And, you know, as you know, May of this year was a hard month for me. And so I want to ask you, and you know, and keep in mind that a lot of people listening to this eventually, when it gets on Facebook and YouTube and wherever else. So, you know, choose your words wisely. But I can guarantee you faced hard times in your life, because I know I do constantly. Why don't you tell the audience of something that you can remember that you have faced, whether it being recently or maybe in the years past, any hard time, and how did you come out a stronger person from facing one particular incident, which was a hard time in your life?
The hardest time in my life, I would say, was when my grandmother passed. You know, my dad was already long gone, and it was just my mother and I, and we were living in Florida at the time. And my grandmother was, let's put it this way, she was the breadwinner at that time. So she had a house, and we stayed there, and, you know, my mom and I and my cat. And when she died, you know, I was 21 and she didn't have a job. I was looking and I didn't have a job. You know, and I thought, you know, we were going to die. because she was not there anymore. My mom had been working forever and couldn't find work, and it was devastating, you know. And finally, I met my husband at the time, which I know him and I, you know, separated, but he was a blessing in disguise because he gave us a home to stay in, and I think for that, you know, I always going to be grateful to him. But the thing is, we kept looking every single day after her death. My mom and I kept going every single day to the employment agents to keep looking. Finally, we found him. He needed a babysitter, a living babysitter. That's how I met my husband. And, you know, it was funny because I saw it as a blessing in disguise. Yeah, we had problems along the way, him and I. But, you know, the whole thing is you can't give up. When you're at your lowest, you can't give up. You got to just keep on going. You got to pull yourself up on bootstraps and say, I'm not going down quickly.
Amen to that. I totally agree with you. Yep. And you know what? No matter what hard times we face, and some of us have faced times because of other people. Some of us have faced hard times because something that we did to ourselves. But how do you feel about karma? Because I'm wrestling, and you know what happened to my mother. And for the audience, if you don't know, my mother was brutally run down in Shirley, New York, and you know, the person that did this to my mother about a month and a half ago was arrested in Maryland for stealing a Jeep and videotaping himself. So he caught himself about 8 charges in Maryland now. And, you know, me as a Christian person, I found it so hard to forgive a person like this. So my question to you, Gloria, is how do you feel about karma? Is that something that you should take into your own hands, or just let Mother Nature and God take care of it itself?
You know, there are times when I know you probably felt this way, because when I got the news that your mom had died, you had on Facebook, it upset me, you know, that happened, because I got hit by a car.
Yeah, wow.
And the thing about it is, you want to strangle them, you want to beat them up, you want them to receive the worst possible death there is. But you know what? You don't need to. You let it go. I don't care what you believe in. If you believe in Mother Earth, you believe in God, you believe in Buddha, Allah, whatever you believe in, it's all believe in nothing. Just let it go. And let it go. Because you know why? It's going to come. Karma is like a boomerang. Even if you put out good energy, the good energy you put out comes back. You put out rotten energy, that's going to come back to you too. And if somebody does something to you deliberately, just let them think, oh, okay, let them laugh it up, let them have their fun, because you know what? It might not be now. It may be next year, 10 years down the line. Karma's going to bite you, excuse my French, in the ass. And I have seen it happen.
And you know what?
You know, you just let it go.
Yeah, and that advice is very good, because that's exactly what I keep doing. I just let it go. Before we come to a conclusion, I want to ask you, how would you change your life if you could? In other words, I don't think there's any person that would say, oh, my life is so perfect that there's nothing I would change, because I can tell you I would change a lot. But you, Gloria Jean Roberts, how would you change your life? If you could change your life, what would you do?
Oh, boy. Well, I think I would do things a little differently, maybe a little better. Maybe ask myself questions, you know, before I react or respond. You know, there's always something you could have done differently.
Right.
And, you know, a lot of times we don't do what we should have done. And then we think about it later, I could have did this differently, but, you know, at that time your mind is not focused on what you could have done different, you just do it, you know. But, yeah, I would change a lot of ways that I did things I might have said, things I might have, you know, done or not done, you know, or could have done, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just like Well, maybe in the next lifetime.
Yeah, and you know that is true, and I will tell you there are a lot of people in my life that change different things in my life, and I just want you to know that you are one of the people, because we've done this now 3 or 4 times, that helped me you kind of put me in perspective, like the karma remark and about just letting go. That puts me in perspective. And it's people like you that actually change people like me, and I'm sure I do the same to someone else. So it's almost like the paper doll. You remember the paper dolls where one paper doll is connected to another one, and you know, if all of us humans just reach out to each other and help each other, whether it be verbally or financially or mentally, I think the world would be so much better. And I want to thank you for being part of my world. Although we don't spend, you know, time together, but I know on October 8th we'll be together, hopefully. And
we're going to be on the CJ Striker Zone.
Yeah, and I'm getting I'm excited about that. I think I guess you and I are going to meet in Jamaica or something, because we come from different directions. Because I'm in the Montauk line and you're probably like the Huntington line or whatever. So
I can't wait.
Yeah, I am so excited about it, and it's a great time. I watch his videos, and I certainly have seen you on there many a times already. So I just want to thank you for always coming on my show, and more importantly, I want to thank you for telling people who you are, because, and I will tell you, I've gotten quite a few emails, and people ask me, who is she? We hear her, we saw pictures of her, but they never got to see you on video. So maybe after CJ Striker, what you and I, if we're together on the same video, that'd be nice, because then people can see how we interact together. And
oh, that'd be absolutely fantastic, I think. That'd be wonderful.
I
would like that.
Yeah, I look forward to that, and I thank you so much for being on the show again, and this will be broadcasting either late tonight or tomorrow sometime, and we'll have to do it again, okay?
Oh, anytime, Ralph. I gotta tell you, when sometimes I'm feeling my lowest, and I'll see one of your posts, and it'll just like give me so much inspiration, and it'll give me a great lift for that day.
Well, I'm glad that some people, including you, get some sort of lift. Sometimes when you do as much as I do on Facebook and all the social media, and you don't see instant gratification remarks, you kind of say to yourself, and I have to be honest with you, sometimes I say, am I doing this for nothing? But even that one person that might get a lift, like you just said, kind of gives me that re-spark to continue doing it.
Absolutely. Please don't stop, because I'll tell you, there are days I think you're psychic.
Well,
you might want to have my friend Stephen Reveley on your show, too, because Stephen, sometimes he'll post things that hit right home, and I think that he's aiming at me, because
right.
They give me such a lift for that day.
Well, let's get it together. Try to get him even if we have like a conference call, or he can maybe meet with you, and then I can call you guys, or we can meet somewhere. But let's definitely get him involved, because I think the more people that get involved, the more stories, the more advice, the better for everybody concerned, right?
Yes, I like that.
Okay,
well,
so
I'm always happy to talk to you, Ralph.
Yes, and I was very happy to have you today, and we will definitely stay in touch, and I'll see you in about 3 weeks.
So good.
Okay. All right, Gloria, have a great night, and I'll talk to you real soon. Thank you so much for talking here on the Take Your Life Back Today show.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome, Ralph.
All right, have a good afternoon. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye now. You too. Bye.
Bye. That was Gloria Jean Roberts here on the Take Your Life Back Today show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. She's truly a good person. You can find her on Facebook. Just go in the search bar under Gloria Jean Roberts. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
Have you ever prayed but never got an answer, and wondered if God was really there? Did you feel all hope was gone, but in His time He came along and answered the prayer you thought was gone? There is no prayer too small, for God hears them all. The answer may not be just what you want, but He always knows what's right, even when we think it's wrong. Just remember, there is no prayer too small. Will ask, you shall receive. No matter what it is, I still believe. There is no prayer too small, and even when we fall, He gives us just exactly